What's going on, it's your boy JTLive. Welcome back to another episode of South Stand Stories. This series, of course, will go through everything happening in and around the world of Leeds United. And we have a little talk about it. And Leeds United have just drawn 0-0 with West Brom Albion in what was, I think we can all agree, one of the most boring games of football that either of us have ever seen in our entire lives. It really reminds me Southgate-esque. I mean, listen, I had this debate with some other people out there who were telling me Southgate ball this, Southgate ball that, and I disputed it after the Portsmouth performance. But you take a bit of sprinkling of magic out of the side with Jorginho Rutter gone, and you really see that Leeds have no quality to break anyone down. And systemically, there are issues that are there that have been there for a long time that are now being exposed. Once you rip individual talent that can change a game on a knife edge, you really start to see just how fallible and how weak we are in terms of creating anything. I mean, there was probably one time within the first half that I actually saw us have an opportunity for a dangerous attack where Nonto won the ball back high up the pitch. West Brom only had 3 players back. He plays it out to the right-hand side. Dan James has an option to drive down the wing to cause danger. And what does he do? He goes backwards. He turns around and goes backwards. It's sideways. It's backwards. It's backwards. It's sideways. It's the same thing. I mean, a blind man and a deaf man would have better communication than Leeds United players in that team, because they just didn't look like they even knew how to play with each other at times. Like, it was just so slow. It was so cumbersome. It was so sloppy. And West Brom weren't much better either. Like, it wasn't even a game where we were getting battered pillar to post by them. Like, both sides, in my opinion, cancelled each other out. Yes, there was a lot of the game where West Brom had the lion's share of possession, but they weren't doing too much either until the last 10-15 minutes. They had a few dangerous set pieces. Carl Bartley missed a couple of gilt-edged chances where he should have headed it. The first one, he just didn't even kick it. But it was just two sides that set up quite defensively, really cagily, and just didn't look like they wanted to even break each other down at times. Like, they just cancelled each other out, and there was no talent in either side to really break anyone down. And it was just a bit of a drab game. Now, you could say, arguably, it was just two sides cancelling each other out. And because West Brom set up the way they did, it was always going to be difficult for Leeds to play. And it was always going to be set up as a boring game. But you should have the ability to try and break these sides down if you're talking about automatic promotion. Or West Brom are probably going to be in contention for the playoffs again. If you're talking as Leeds United that you're going to be a side getting automatic promotion, West Brom are a side that you should be finding a way to deal with. You should be finding a way to break them down, and you shouldn't be relying on trying to scam a 1-0 shithousing win. That works in the Euros. You know, this is the difference. When I was watching Southgate ball and I was watching England, I don't mind if we scam a win, because there's 7 games, 8 games in the entire tournament. You know, if you're lucky, you make it to the final, you play, 8 games of football. And it doesn't matter how you play. All that matters is results. But in a league campaign, how you play is imperative. And how you play, it tells the story of not only today, not only next week, but it tells you where you're going to be in 10 weeks' time, and 20 weeks' time, and 30 weeks' time. And the way it's looking, it's not looking positive at all for Leeds. And it's not looking like we're even going to be in contention for those top 2 places with the way that we're playing right now. Unless if we make some serious changes in the transfer market and Fark seriously changes his footballing philosophy in terms of certain players, in terms of certain positions that we're putting players in, and in terms of actually having the guts to take the game to the opposition, to try and break teams down that are going to sit back rigidly and defensively and with a good structure. We don't have any ability or any creativity or any imagination to break this down, and it just exposes what a lot of us were saying last year in terms of individual quality. It wasn't just individual quality. There were two men that single-handedly got us to where we were, and I genuinely believe it, and I genuinely believed it last year. I was saying it last year, and people were calling me an idiot. Okay, there was 2 men. And it was single-handedly down to those 2 people and the way they contributed with each other as to why we got where we did. And that was Somerville and that was Rutter. And a lot of people went on about Somerville's ego and him thinking he was the better than the team. He was. That's why. He had every right to say that. Yes, you could argue it ruins team morale, but he had every right to say that. because he was carrying the team. Rutter was carrying the team. Those two together were dragging us out of games. And we might have won this game 2-0 if we had those two in the team. And I'm not trying to just hark on the past and, oh, we lost players, this and that, and come with that basic line of questioning or basic line of analysis. But it's so true that when you rip players like that out of the side, we don't have anything. Systemically, we're not creating anything. And with the players we have on the pitch, we should be playing better football than what we are. Like, it's just simply not good enough. And I know it's early doors. I know, you could say it's a small sample size of games to go off. But there's no service up there. Like, even Mateo Joseph, I can't even blame him too much that he's not doing anything. I could say he's had a poor game and he wasn't really doing much or contributing much. But he didn't have any service. He was isolated out there. Even when Bamford came on, yeah, he got himself into the game a little bit more. But he was still isolated. There was still no service. The only one that was actually kind of getting on the ball and having a little bit of joy was Nonto. That was it. Even he went to the right-hand side, and even he didn't contribute too much when he did. Like, it was just so flat and lethargic, and it was a bit of a drab to watch. I mean, thankfully, I was doing the watch-along with you guys, so talking to you guys and conversing actually really helped me watch the game and sit through that game. But the fact that we're playing like this, it really is damning, and it really is scary as to what we can expect for the rest of the season. There was nothing, and some of the team selection as well. Perot in the 10, why? We saw it didn't work 2 weeks into last campaign, I was telling you. Even when it was an unpopular opinion, I was telling you it doesn't work. He's not a number 10. And we were doing it 3 weeks into last season, and we're doing it a whole year later, and it's still not working. And we're still doing it. They pulled up a statistic. The 3 people that lost possession the most in that game were Daniel James, Mateo Joseph, and Perot. James lost it 43% of the time he had it. Joseph lost it 42% of the time he had it. Perot lost the ball 53% of the time he had the ball. That is over half the time that he touched the ball, he lost possession of the ball. He is not a number 10. If you're going to play him, if you're going to persevere with him, fine. But put him in the number 9. Because it's not like we were pressing with Joseph up there anyway. Even without Perot there, we weren't pressing. We have no one that was pressing. Dan James wasn't really pressing in the game. Nonto wasn't really pressing that much. Joseph wasn't pressing that much. Like, we were letting West Brom just hold on to comfortable possession in their own half. Like, I don't understand it. It's the same issues and the same problems that we've all been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're doing it again and again. I know it's technically not the definition of insanity, but people say it is, in that the definition is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Well, you wonder why a lot of us Leeds fans are going a bit doolally watching the same things over and over again. Because it's the same stories, it's the same comments, it's the same things we're all saying, and nothing's changing. And it's just criminal to watch at times. It really is. But let me know what you guys think anyway. Do you think you would make any changes to the squad? I would only potentially put Rothwell in, arguably, or put Aronson in. I would definitely put Aronson in the number 10 or change formation to 4-3-3. I heard people saying that. But please let me know what you guys thought about the game and the team lineup and what you would change and what needs to change. Is it a system issue? Is it a managerial issue? Is it a team issue? What is it? Please let me know down in the comment section down below what your thoughts are. And as always, if you did make it to this point in the video, put Tribal Chief in the comments. And I will see you guys, our absolute legends who made it all the way to the end. But for now, guys, I will see you very soon. Au revoir, my brothers.